For most of American history, white women have not been good allies to Black Americans, and it's way past time we confront this head on. So let's start with a brief history. One of the most damning things white women have done to Black people is to not support their right to vote. Historically, white women were offended that Black men were afforded the right to vote before us. Did you know that Frederick Douglass spoke powerfully in favor of women's suffrage in 1848 at a conference for women's rights? Historians believe that the measure might never have made it to the convention if not for his support. Yet 20 years later, suffragists like Elizabeth Stanton opposed the 15th Amendment, which extended voting rights to Black men because the measure didn't include women. Stanton's actually quoted as saying, "It became a serious question whether we had to stand aside and let Sambo walk into the kingdom first. That's just freaking obnoxious." A lot of false equivalence and cultural appropriation took place in those days. Stanton and fellow suffragist Susan B. Anthony tried to equate white womanhood and not having the vote with being enslaved. Sound familiar? With Anthony saying that the men think of us as some of the slaveholders used to think of their slaves, all love and compassion with no malice in their heart. Douglass responded to Anthony by saying, when women, because they're women, are hunted down, when they are dragged from their houses and are hung from lampposts, and their brains bashed out upon the pavement, then they will have an urgency to obtain the ballot equal to our own. From Emmett Till to the Central Park Five to scores of lynchings of Black men based on lies, white women have been the instigators or at minimum indifferent to the plight of men and women who are Black. And remember the Women's March with the pink pussy hats? Well, many felt this movement was absent of inclusivity. They felt left out. Once again, they felt that the white women were protesting subjugation of them, not all women. Here are some changes that white women need to make in order to be real supporters of anti-racism. Become a close friend with someone who doesn't look like you. Stop going to Black Lives Matter protests and inviting all the white women back to lunch at your house, but no Black, brown, or indigenous people. Listen when Black women speak. You don't have to agree with them, but you need to listen and listen well. White women need to use our privilege to spotlight and promote the voices of Black people. Stop saying that women were finally granted the right to vote in 1920 with the 19th Amendment, because this is pretty much a lie. Voting could not be denied by the U.S. or any state on the count of sex. But what really happened during this time was that white women got their right to vote, but pretty much nobody else. The original white suffragists did not want or support Black women's voting rights. The racist laws and practices that kept them from the ballot box would take decades to undo, and in some cases are still happening today. Another thing some white women do is they enjoy the company of a Black man sexually, but they don't support Black people. They want to have Black babies, but they don't really care to know enough how to protect them or care for them, so they'll grow up feeling like they matter. White women enjoy music, styles, and culture and sports of Black people, but then oftentimes don't support the actual human rights of these Black people. White women, do not become a Karen. Don't get sanctimonious because a Black person dares to exert their right to exist and participate in life in your presence. Don't place your fragility before the physical and mental well-being of a Black person by calling the police on them, saying you're scared for your life when it's ludicrous and ridiculous. White women, we are not the star of the show. We do not lead. We have Black people in charge, and we support and follow. White women, don't put your picture on social media telling about what a great justice warrior you are. White women are not the focal point, and we don't get to decide who is being supportive and who isn't. White women, don't blindly support our racist husbands whose ideologies we just put up with and then pass on to the next generation. It's time to take a stand for our Black sisters and brothers. Let's use our privilege to educate ourselves about our real racial history so we can get out there and educate other white people. Support anti-racism in every area of your life and do it clearly, even when there's no Black people present. Resisting racism is a dedication to a lifestyle, not a hobby. It takes work and humility to do introspection about our deepest, often unconscious beliefs about our fellow humans. Do it anyway. This generation of white women must dedicate ourselves to fully supporting the dismantling of systemic racism. It's time white women take racial responsibility, vowing, "This ends with me."